Thank you, Northern Virginia. It is such a great treat for me to be back here and to have this chance to appear with your great senator, a former governor, a former mayor of Richmond, Tim Kaine. I appreciate so much the leadership that he has shown for this state, and now he is doing the same in the Congress, and he is working with the three members of Congress who are here, Jerry Conley, Bobby Scott, and Don Beyer. We thank them for their service. And I really loved what Tim said. I liked the three questions he posed. Think about it, because you really are conducting a giant job interview to decide who you want to be your president for your community, for your family, for your state and our country, and indeed, yes, the world. So I think what Tim said really is worth considering. Do you want a you're fired or you're hired president? Do you want a trash talker or a bridge builder? I like that one a lot. Do you want a me first or a kids and family first? And I really appreciate Tim laying out the choice like that. Because make no mistake about it, my friends, this is one of the most consequential elections in our history, certainly in my lifetime, where we're being asked to choose whether we go forward into our future with confidence, optimism, and hope, or whether we give in to bigotry and bluster and bullying. And at some point, that will be the decision every voter faces. And so I am grateful to have the support of leaders here in this great Commonwealth. Your wonderful Senator Mark Warner, your Governor Terry McAuliffe, in recent years, Virginia has had Democratic office holders who have really worked together to build the economy, to create more opportunities. So it's a special delight to be here with Tim and others who have really paved the way for Virginia to continue to play the important role in our country. I have to say, I just saw Hamilton, a great, great musical. I saw it for the third time, if you don't tell anybody. And I hope you all listen to the soundtrack. I hope you get to see it when it comes to Washington, and it's going to travel probably around the country for, the next century. But it tells us some important lessons. You look at our founders. Virginia gave us a bunch of them. You look at them. They did not all agree. They did not even all like each other. But here's what they did. They worked together, and they set the most outrageous, unbelievable goal that they were going to transfer these colonies into a nation that could stand on its own with the rest of the world. What an outrageous idea. Who could think that that could come to pass? And there's a song in this play where George Washington, who did something nobody expected, he stepped down. He could have stayed as the great Revolutionary War general who fought for and obtained our independence as our first president. He probably could have stayed as president for as long as he was alive. But he said, wait a minute. We are a different creature. We're going to go about this in a way that gives real credence to our aims. So, no, I'm stepping down. There's a hilarious song by the King of England, who can't believe it. What is he doing? Nobody steps down. And in stepping down, Washington said, "The eyes of history are on us." Well, we've gone through some hard times. As Tim said, I was in Springfield yesterday, and the old State House, where Abraham Lincoln gave a speech reminding Americans that a house divided against itself cannot stand. And we are in no way facing the kind of existential challenge that President Lincoln faced. But we're facing some of our own, aren't we? Are we going to be coming together or falling apart? Are we building walls or bridges? Are we creating opportunity to lift everyone up, or are we scapegoating and finger pointing and trying to marginalize groups of Americans? Because if you listen to the presumptive Republican nominee, that is the campaign he is running. Everything Tim said is absolutely on the mark. So here's what I'm asking all of you, to think hard about what we can do together, because yes, we are stronger together. When we set goals for America, when we listen to each other. And I have set 5 big goals. We need more good-paying jobs, and we need to provide opportunities for more hardworking Americans. So we're going to invest in our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our ports, our airports, our electric grid, our water systems. And we're going to be the clean energy superpower of the 21st century. Unlike Donald Trump, who thinks climate change is a hoax, we think it's an opportunity as well as a problem. And an opportunity that smart, innovative people in Virginia, particularly young people, can address by creating new businesses and jobs. I want to grow the economy so that we have greater prosperity, and I particularly want to pay attention to those parts of our country that aren't as fortunate as others. Coal country, Indian country, inner city neighborhoods. I want us all to rise together. This is not just about some people, it needs to be about all of America. And while we grow together, we will become fairer too. That's why I want to raise the national minimum wage so people working full-time are not left in poverty. I got to tell you, Donald Trump thinks wages are too high. I honestly don't know who he talks to. Well, yeah, he does say that he mostly talks to himself. That's true. He was asked, well, who are your advisors on foreign policy and national security? He goes, well, I mostly consult myself. This would be a good reality show. It's just so serious. And it has gone on, that we've got to take what he says at face value. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And in addition to raising the minimum wage, we are going to do more for small business, particularly women-owned and minority-owned small business. And yes, I do believe it is way past time to guarantee equal pay for women's work. Now, you know, I have to tell you, there are some people, and I know there are some people who basically say, well, this is not a problem anymore. Well, I mean, if you have a mother, wife, daughter, or sister who is not being paid equally, it's your problem. It's your family's problem. It's America's problem. Just the other day, there was a story of a young 17-year-old girl who went to work in a pizza restaurant. She was really excited. It was in Kansas. Because it was her first real job. I remember those days when I had my first real job. Not just babysitting and things like that, but a real job. So she goes and she works, and another one of the people working is a boy she knows from high school, also 17 years old. And they're talking one day, and she tells him how happy she is to be earning $8 an hour. And he says, well, I'm making $8.15 an hour. So she goes to the manager, and she goes, well, he's never had a job like this before. We're the same age. We have the same education. I think she's been listening to my speeches. So why is he making 15 cents an hour more? And the manager fired them both. And that's legal. That's why when I talk about equal pay, it really requires that we find out whether or not people of the same experience, same education, same qualifications are being paid the same. And now when I talk like this, I know Donald Trump says, oh, there she goes again, talking about equal pay. She's playing the woman card. Yes, I see you waving your woman card. Yes, I love it. Deal me in. That's exactly right. So when I think about you're hired, that's exactly what I want us all to be focused on. Creating more jobs, raising incomes for people, beginning to reduce inequality in income by making sure that our economy works for everybody, not just those at the top. That will be my highest priority, among the very first things I do when I am your president come next January. Now, I'll tell you what else we have to do, because I still believe education at places like this great community college is essential to growing the economy and creating opportunity. So here's what I want to do. I want to make community college free. Just here in Virginia, that would affect about 108,000 students. Because here's how I figure, the more education, the more skills that people get, and it's not just young people, mid-career people, people changing careers, maybe people whose jobs have moved on. I want you to see the community college as your gateway to a new opportunity that you can take advantage of. And here's what else I want to do. I want to make 4-year public colleges and universities debt-free so middle-class, working, and poor families can afford to go. All across America, I heard about how hard it is for young people to afford to go to college, stay in college, and graduate. I saw this back, years ago when I was teaching at the University of Arkansas, and I met a lot of students who scraped together the money they needed for tuition, but then something happened. There was a sickness in the family. The old car they drove to go back and forth from the country to school broke down. Their child care arrangements collapsed, and they couldn't go on. So we started something called the Arkansas Single Parent Scholarship Fund. And we have now provided emergency funding for more than 35,000 students to be able to stay in school, graduate from school. I want us to do everything we can to send out 3 messages. First, we want every child in this country to succeed. And that's why we want early childhood education and universal pre-kindergarten. And we want good schools in every zip code in America. And number two, we're not going to tell a lot of jobs out there that require skills. So what we want is for more young people to be supported and mentored in getting those skills at community colleges, at apprenticeships run by labor unions and businesses. Because we're going to have a lot of jobs from building infrastructure to coding, creating new apps. I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls. And number three, I don't want family income to stand in the way of any student succeeding. And as Tim said, Ann, his wonderful wife, is the education commissioner here at Virginia, and that's exactly what she's working on to open the doors of opportunity. So I get pretty excited about this. You know, I am aware that every so often someone will write or say, oh, you know, there goes Hillary Clinton with her plans. She has a plan for everything. Well, I didn't know you could run for president and say, I have a plan, I'm not going to tell you. But believe me, it's great. It's huge. You'll love it. I didn't know you could run for president and say that. I kind of thought when you ran for president, since I do think it's like a big job interview, you owed it to people to tell them what you want to do. And I think it will help if we actually run on an agenda of what we want to accomplish so that the Congress knows it, everybody is aware of it, and you all hold me accountable for it. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And when it comes to education, we are going to concentrate on making early childhood, elementary and secondary education, community college, training programs, and four-year college and universities available, affordable to everyone. And by the way, we're going to help you refinance and pay down the debt you already have to get that off your back. And then people say to me, well, okay, how are you going to pay for it? Well, we're going where the money is. We're going to where the money is. That means we're going to raise taxes on the wealthy and those who can afford to pay to lift up our country. I want us to make sure that the wealthy are paying their fair share, because that's who has benefited the most. And even since the Great Recession, most of the wealth has gone to the top couple of percent of folks. Now, we in America do not begrudge success, but we also know we've got work to do here to give more people the chance to be successful. And therefore, we are going to have this kind of support for education that's going to give people the chance to go forward, and that will require raising taxes on the wealthy. But I'll tell you this, I am the only candidate who ran in either primary who said, I will not raise taxes on the middle class. And I mean it, and I won't do it. Incentives so more companies will not only create jobs in America, but bring jobs back from overseas so people can work here in Virginia and across the country. And finally, we are going to focus on the way people actually live today. You know, it is not the 1950s. You have two parents working. Lots of times you have one parent. You have young people trying to get started and get ahead. And I do believe, and Tim's absolutely right about this, I do believe that there is nothing more important than supporting our families and supporting our children, and now, yes, my grandchildren. So I want us to be willing to look at the stresses we are putting on families. Some of the most obvious ones are in those early years with a newborn, trying to figure out how you're going to go back to work when you have no paid sick days, you have no paid vacation days, and you have no paid family leave. And you're trying to bond with this baby, you're trying to get this baby fed, you're trying to find a safe place to take care of this baby so you can go back to work to keep a roof over your head. We make it just about as hard as any place in the world for families to do that. And so here's what I believe. I believe we need to join the rest of the advanced economies and have paid family leave. So, my friends, we are going to have a great convention in Philadelphia. I have no idea what's going to happen in Cleveland. It is going to be entertaining, I'm sure. If you're into bigotry, bluster, and bullying, insulting groups of Americans, if you're into saying you don't want to let Muslims in the country, you want to round up and deport 11 million people with a, quote, deportation force, if you enjoy seeing women demeaned. I spoke today before LULAC, a distinguished Latino organization, and sometimes my smart research people give me information, and I find it hard to believe at first. I go back, I say, did he really say this? They come back, they show me where he said it in one of his Miss Universe contests. You know that he says he's qualified to be commander-in-chief because he took Miss Universe to Moscow. And another time,